You are my inheritance, O Lord. This is what we said in the responsorial psalm, which really bring the theme of this liturgy. Today we heard the call to discipleship. We find in the first reading how Elijah, knowing that Elijah now has selected him by throwing the cloth over his shoulders to be his successor, he went after he asked Elijah about this, and he asked for word from his people prior to his taking off, and how he offered in thanksgiving a sacrifice to God. In the gospel today, we find also the call to discipleship. But as the first reading was very much compassionate towards Elijah, and he gave him permission to go and said farewell to his people, we see on the contrary, Jesus was very severe in those he has called to follow him. Now many times when somebody as an adult, and I'm talking about you as an adult, when somebody call your name and say, come on, follow me, and sometimes you hesitate to do so, and he repeat again, follow me, you feel like a little child. It's like, you're taking away your liberty, and also feel very uncomfortable. But the call that Jesus is making today to follow him is an urgent call. And this urgent call is identified by the three different attitudes of the three people that he asked or they encounter him to follow him. The first one, he said, I will follow you wherever you go, Lord. And Jesus said, if you are going to follow me so that you have an easy life, this is not going to be the call. If you come to follow me, you are going to take the cross. You are going to have hardship to endure. You are going to do a lot of sacrifices. Because look at me. I don't own a house, I don't own a building, I don't own money, I have nothing. And so the urgency of the apostolate is really important because you don't need to have attachment. And though your ministry is going to be based according to your belongings. The second one, Jesus asked him to follow him, but he said, let me go and bury my father. And Jesus said, let the dead bury their dead. Because those who do not follow Jesus are like that. And because of that, if you are going to take care of your father till he dies, you are going to spend 20, 30 more years before your parents pass. And then you're going to follow me? That's not urgency enough. I want you and I want you now. The last one was the man who said, I will follow you, Lord, but let me go and say farewell to my parents, to my people at home. And Jesus said, no. No one who put his head to the plow and look backwards is fit to my kingdom. Did you ever see somebody plowing in the fields? I mean, not plowing with the machine, but with the mule and with the plow. Believe me, if your eyes is not on the plow and make sure the horse or the mule is really steady, you put that plow to the ground and make sure you put where you are going the farrow against the other farrow. If you are going to take your eyes off that plow, your animal and even the plow are going to steer either left or right, and you are not going to be able to do a good job. And the same thing Jesus is saying, nobody to put his hand on the plow will look back to see what he left behind, and sometimes he feels sorry of what he left behind. It's good for my kingdom. My dear people, when we call about discipleship, discipleship is to follow Jesus and to follow him without no reservation. Well, that is for the priest, Father, you are saying things. It's for anyone who is baptized. All of us who are baptized become followers and disciples of Jesus. In the waters of baptism, we all went down to die for our ego and to rise from that water to be a new creation. And now that we become Christ-like, we have to act like him. Today the Gospel says he was determined to go to Jerusalem. Remember that always Luke have a journey. The journey towards Jerusalem, the journey in the Acts of the Apostles towards the end of the world. And we know that this journey is going to cost Jesus his life. But he was determined to go to fulfill the will of his Father. Although the pain and the cross and the mockery and everything was waiting for him, he was determined that he will go to Jerusalem. And that's why sometimes we don't understand this gospel. We don't understand this gospel because we don't take serious the call to evangelization. The call to evangelization is not for some, it's for everybody. We are called to be sent from the fountain of baptism. That's why every time we come to Mass, the last words of the priest or deacon, go now and proclaim. Go now and live. Go now and celebrate. Go now and live the Mass that you just celebrate. Why? Because each one of us are commissioned to do the bidding of the Lord, to proclaim the reign of God, to bring people to the fold, to tell the world how much God loves us, to bring people to eternity. And that's why when we read that second reading today of St. Paul really, as we say, this message so embedded in him that he spoke the word to the Galatians. The people of Galatia are the people that he opened his heart with them and tell them about his suffering for the gospel. If you have time to read that letter, it's a little lengthened in time, but in that letter St. Paul expressed all the tribulation he has to go in order to proclaim the gospel of Jesus. And today he said to the Galatians, and he is saying to each one of us, we are called to love one another. We are called to be brothers and sisters to each other. We are not called to fight and to destroy one another. Don't let that happen, because unfortunately, if you think that you are going to destroy your brother, it comes to a point that you will be destroyed by him. St. Paul reminds us also that the love of Christ that he has done for us by his death and resurrection was given to us in a purpose that we continue to live that testimony, the testimony of his love for us. And that's why I said that responsorial psalm is the highlight of these readings. Because in this life there is nothing that we want but to be the inheritance of God, to be the people of God, to do the God's will. And that's why we said in the response, you are the one who counsel me. You are the one who directs me. You are the one who gives me strength. You are the one who encourages me. You are my rock. You are my fortress. You are the one that I need so much in my life in order that I will fulfill your will and I will end at my destination. My dear people, as we go in celebration of the Mass today, let us take it very seriously what the Lord is trying to say to us. The first commandment is, I am your God. There will be no God before me. How many times we put our husband before God? Sometimes we put our wife before God. Sometimes we put our children before God. Sometimes we put other people before God. Sometimes we put our wealth or our possession before God. Today, Jesus is asking us one question. What is there in your life that is hindering you to come closer to me? What is there in your life that you need to let go in order that your life will be a testimony of evangelization? And this is really a serious question that we need to ask each one of us. And the Lord is saying to each one of us what we need to let go of our lives in order to really come closer to Him, so that our encounter with Him will be fruitful and will be benefit not only for our salvation, but the salvation of others. As we go to the celebration of the Mass today, let us pray that the words that Jesus used today are very serious and sometimes are very hard for the human beings to really take them at heart. Let the dead bury their dead. The foxes have den and the birds have nests, but I have no one to lay my hands. Let me go and say goodbye to my parents. Nobody is good for me if you are going to put your hand on the plow and look backwards. What is Jesus trying to say in this? That we wants us to hate our parents? That he does not want us to say hello and goodbye to those that we have lived with? That we don't really understand that we are going to follow him with sometimes difficulties? No. He is asking us that the urgency of the apostolate, the urgency of the evangelization is very serious and urgent. Some people, I deal with people many times and they question me, how did you leave your mother, your father, your brothers and sisters? How do you leave your friends and your country that you love so? And none of you know where I come from. I come from a very, 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 how would I say, the church was the center of our lives. I mean, many times my mother used to say, why you don't sleep in church? Why you don't take a bed and stay there? I was so much, involved in festivities and feasts, engaging in different preparation for things, that even my superiors at the seminary, they never believed that I would make it 1 year in America and make me sign a contract that I would never come back. Why? Because I was so ingrained in what I was doing. But why you do what you do? Because St. Paul said it, let the Holy Spirit of God dwell within you. Because if you act with the Spirit, you are in God. If you act with the flesh, you are of this world. And if the world, the flesh, the things of this world are going to blind you, then you don't see the true vision of God. And that's why you do what you do. It's not because you are a hero. It's because the Spirit of God was poured upon you, whether it is in baptism, confirmation, and for us who are ordained by the laying of the hands and ordination. And that Spirit of God works within us for a purpose and for that job that he has called us to do. Each one of us, whether you are married, whether you are widow, whether you are separated, whatever you are, we are all called and have a job in the church. And why? Because many times the Lord will send you in a situation or open a situation in front of you that some co-worker, some neighbor, some friend of yours, some people, they see the life that you live different from other people and they come to you for advice. And sometimes they open their hearts to you of what they are what's going in their lives. And that is the opportunity for you not to speak and feel compassion for them, which is nice, but to lead them to the source, to lead them to Jesus, to lead them to a good confession, to lead them to a priest, to lead them to prayer, to lead them to church, to lead them to the sacrament, to bring them to the Lord. And many times, unfortunately, either we are ashamed of our faith, or sometimes, we don't, this is not my business, and sometimes, this is not my doing. And let me tell you, yes, it is your doing, because the salvation of that soul depends on you and me. You go to heaven because of others who help you to go. You go the other way because others help you to go there. The example that we set and the direction that we give is what set people on the right track. My dear people, this is what Jesus is trying to say to us today. The evangelization is very urgent. To make the message of God known is very urgent. And come before your mother, before your father, before your husband, before your children, and that is very hard for a mother to understand, and even before anything that is in this world. God bless you.